Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Pillbox Movies. I'm Hank, and today we're going to be watching the 2014 adaptation of The Human Voice. The Human Voice is a play by Jean Cocteau. Cocteau, in addition to being a prolific and whimsical and amazing film director, who you should definitely check out, was also a theater director and did a lot of he did directing, he did set design, he did costuming, and he also wrote plays. So basically a renaissance man of the performing arts. The Human Voice has been adapted numerous times over the course of the 20th and 21st century, but the reason I'm checking this out is because there's recently been a 2020 adaptation directed by Pedro Almodovar and starring Tilda Swinton. So in preparation for that, I figured I'd check out some of the other adaptations of Human Voice. This one is from 2014. It's an Italian adaptation starring Sophia Loren. Loren plays an older woman who is dealing with heartbreak and anguish as she's on the phone with her young lover who's about to leave her for another woman. Relatable. So anyways, we're going to check out the 2014 version of Human Voice, and maybe if we can find them, we'll find the other versions and watch them.
A forza di carezze mi hai levato la cenere dal cuore e mi hai risuscitato la felicità.
I wonder how old Sophia Loren was in this.
Mi hai aperto le braccia come una finestra. Hai fatto entrare la luce.
Wonderful palatial architecture. 1934, so she'd be 80. Around 80 in this movie. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. I don't think this movie's usually, or this script is usually designed for a woman of her age, but truly a brave decision on her part and the producer's part to take this role. Playing a spurned lover at 80. Just acting goals in general. I'd love to be a spurned lover at 80.
E voi me l'avete detto di tagliare le mulignane e metterle a asciuttare al sole per la cena del
We've already got 2010's shaky cam.
Pronto? Sì, ero appena rientrata quando mi hai chiamato. Beh, oggi mi sono vestita, è passata Assunta e mo sto tornando da casa sua.
Sophia Loren, proving to this day and age she's an actress at heart, and not just a sex symbol or an idol or a celebrity, but even in as deep as 2014, wanting to try her hand at meaty acting roles. And I'm really happy that there's this kind of tradition with adapting this work by Cocteau. It's kind of like there's always a parody of good, strong female roles for middle-aged or older women, and so while that's definitely a bad thing and there should be more roles written for them, it creates a really strong tradition in the few roles that are available that you can kind of see the passage of female actresses and styles passing it down, interpreting it in different ways. And this director's definitely choosing to shoot this in a theatrical kind of way, trying to do it all in one shot. Even more so than being a effective story or whatever. These kind of scripts are a testament to acting skill, and so to supplement that, you have stuff like having a one shot where the actor just works through it and you're not splicing it up with multiple edits and stuff. You want to see the whole plate, as Lindsay Ellis would say, of an actor's performance. You don't want to try and manipulate it too much.
Ah, quelli di pelle per la guida dell'automobile. Non so, non
Why does one need gloves for driving?
Ti ridò questa sera.
And why is it only Italians need them?
Io ti vedo, lo sai. Che
Oh
fazzoletto?
boy.
Quello rosso. E tieni le maniche rimboccate. Le stelle.
It's very
Ridi.
kind of tactile,
Tengo gli occhi al posto delle
sensual
orecchie.
presentation of their relationship.
No,
It's all
no,
about like
Shireen,
feeling
guarda.
and fabrics
Paura.
and
Ma no,
textiles.
non è paura.
Ooh, look at that leather. That alligator skin. Look at those fat joints she's got in there. Those be some blunts. She'd be gripping that handle like my man's leaving me. Ooh, look at that small oven. I need a small oven. Is that a broiler? No, it's an oven. You don't want to put eggplant parmesan that's completely raw into just a fucking broiler. Are you insane? You want to burn all the cheese in the sauce?
Pronto? Ah, sei tu?
Oh man, how many hellos are in
No,
this
no,
script?
Aspetta.
This bitch right here.
E che cosa? Eh? O sacci che non me ne viene niente se ti aspetta. E a bugie. Esisteva solo un braccio a te, a pace mia.
This is why you don't latch onto one person. Because they will fuck it up. You can see I'm very trusting of relationships in my old age. This is going at a pretty quippy pace. Which I'm like not necessarily the biggest fan of, but I understand that like when you have like a one-person play or a one-person production, you like don't want to like test the audience. So as a filmmaker or as a director, you enact certain tricks to help alleviate the pain of having to listen to one person for 20 minutes. You try and make them like talk faster or add a lot of movement or flourishes and stuff. And while I don't obviously speak Italian, I do feel like there's an opportunity to take some breaks, to go a bit slower and allow feelings to like develop as opposed to present them. It's difficult because this characterization seems to be very, on Loren's part, seems to be like very rambling and insistent and like and persistent, but sometimes in order to break up break up the dialogue and give variety, you kind of need to break up the actual like cadence. She's like going at a like constant 60 miles per hour. It gets harder to attach to any single thought because they all seem to like string together and have the same like meaning and weight.
Quelle che non si supporta è la nottatrice. Ieri e quelle che davanti rimane. Giornate intere a fa che. Madonna mia.
Madonna mia.
E facevo che mi dormo e poi ci stanno i sogni e poi mi sveglio, poi sa da mangiare, mi alzo, esco e dove
That's
vado?
a good line.
It's
kind of like the line of Sandra Bullock gives in Gravity.
Ma sono della vita so, è tutto organizzato, adesso so. Non so chi. Penso che ci stracciato un pacchetto di fotografie tutte assieme e manco me ne sono accorta.
I do wonder how like Rosamund Pike and like Tilda Swinton will take this. I definitely think Rosamund Pike will be slower.
Non siamo interessati o era? Vi facciamo ridere? E attaccata sta facendo le cornette. E gli ha da fanculo.
I don't know how Tilda Swinton will do it. It's interesting to think in terms of the collaboration between her and Almodovar, who like takes dominance in terms of cadence. Like, will the production be her performance or his direction? I'm like delighted to like consider the possibilities of it.
Ma lo so che tutta questa storia fa male pure a te. Pure di più. Dici? Ma non è una gara chi soffre di più. Vincila pure tu.
This is one of those things where I think like I would want to have like as good a performer as like Sophia Loren is, and it's like from a layman's point of view, it's like, wow, it's amazing that she learned all these lines and had this character down and stuff like that. She's doing good work. I maybe it's just because I don't know who this director is, and I'm like speaking from my prejudices as a result, or from my biases as a result. Like, I feel like the director could have had a heavier hand in like shaping the performance and giving her direction, because I feel like she had like a version of the character in mind, and she's kind of like plowing through it with that characterization. But like, a director could have helped with like shaping the performance a little and giving little ideas or points of inspiration to give variation to the performance. Like, I definitely felt like that was a director moment. Not necessarily like for good, but it is for variation. I'm like faulting her for like wearing the same clothes throughout this entire day, but that's like literally what I do. That's literally what all of us are doing right now in quarantine. Gonna wash that man right out of my hair. Gonna wash that man right out of my hair.
Pronto? No, non ti voglio vedere più, non voglio vedere più.
This is very Italian melodrama.
Io sono forte. Metti giù che sia forza mia. Sbrigati, metti giù. Dai, metti giù. Metti giù.
You can kind of tell she's like putting her energy into driving to this moment. Or not to this moment, like amping up to this like this dramatic beat, and like that's where her concentration lied, and to a certain degree that's why like everything else was a bit flatter, because she was seeing the overall arc of the piece and wanting to rev up slowly and deliberately to this moment. But yeah, like I said before, I would have liked a little bit more variation worked in. Like, I don't know. It's hard for actors, it's hard for directors, but you kind of want to have in the individual beats like little. Oh my god, this is something I'd hate if I got this as a direction as an actor. But you want each beat to have like a rise and fall, like have its own kind of small narrative arc, and those small arcs build up into a larger overall arc of the super objective and other dumb acting stuff. And like, despite this being like a one-person like production and like the script being told from like being just like one person delivering lines, I wish there were more moments like this interspersed throughout. Not just like, but like not just like with her memories and stuff, where she was like still talking over it in voiceover, but like moments that the director chose deliberately to take a pause and take a break from just the tone of her speaking. Oh, for his mom. Now I feel bad judging this director. But I would have loved for him to have inserted a little bit more variation with his shots, because you can kind of tell that as a director, he like only shot like her spouting, doing these lines, and like Rodrigo Prieto shot this? Oh my, that's cool. Is that why I picked up this movie? Oh, that's weird. You can tell that anyways, Rodrigo Prieto, he's the cinematographer for Martin Scorsese's Silence, and that's an amazing movie. You can tell this director like just shot the acting portions of this, like her going through the dialogue and stuff, and like maybe not giving her a lot of direction on it, or like if he did give her direction, it was just to plow through it, to keep going, and in terms of script analysis, you got a sense that he didn't really have an eye for that. He wasn't really looking for like specificity within the script and the dialogue itself, and all the other shots were like by a secondhand unit or something like that. But I really wish he had taken more time to like evaluate the script holistically, as opposed to just being about a performance. If he had shot more than just Sophia Loren acting, and had like engaged more in the architecture of the scene, engaged more in the what she's doing, like physically or emotionally, that isn't tied to her dialogue. Like it's very straightforward, the kind of ideas that were presented in this. Maybe not necessarily his ideas, but because he's the director, I'm assigning it to him. The ideas are very clear that it's a sequence of like an emotional outburst followed by a memory that's going to trigger another emotional outburst, and it's so it's like talking and then memory and then talking and then memory. What I wanted more of was like the moment where she was pawing at the chair or rubbing the chaise lounge. Like, I wanted moments that were independent of the script, indicating the kind of like changes that were happening in her character, the kind of inner psychology of her. Because like, for scripts, as much as we think that dialogue is king and dialogue is what drives action and what reveals character, and especially in like a one person play, like it's not, especially in film, it's not. Film, you need to create a visual language that is indicating the emotional journey that a character is going through. Like, there's nothing that Luke Skywalker will say that will give you an indication of his character more than him looking at those two suns in Last Hope. There's nothing as great as the dialogue is in The Godfather, as great of a line as Michael Corleone saying, "That's my family. That's my family, Kay. That's not me." It's like only half or less than half of the actual impact that the audience has. The audience gets it partially from that line, but they get it from him looking down as he says it, and this feeling of shame that he has about his family. Or they get it from, there's that I think there's a Thomas Flight. I think it's Thomas Flight has a video on YouTube about his favorite shot from The Godfather, about Michael Corleone lighting a cigarette for the baker's apprentice at his father's hospital and stuff, and how it just lasts a little bit longer than it should, and him looking down at the cigarette and realizing that his hand, or him looking down later and realizing that his hand's not shaking, and that's like a powerful revelation of character. I agree with that. That's like something that can't be contained in dialogue alone. You need to supplement it with a visual language, and then you have a dialogue that isn't appealing to like your audience's brain. It's making an appeal to their heart. So that's something I would have wanted a little bit more in this. I understand this was just a short project, and it was probably interpreted as an acting vessel, and it is. It's a good showcase for an actress. It's great that Sophia Loren did this and like undertook this as a project. But as a filmmaker, you need to think more. You need to think about more than just your actor's performance, and you need to think about more than just the script. I think for what I saw of this, like some of the decisions that were made in leaving Sophia Loren's performance alone and stripping it down as much as possible, it actually like kind of weakened the presentation of her acting ability as opposed to strengthening it. It's very, very much like an Italian dish. It's like as simple and reduced down as possible, but in this case I think it was reduced down to the point of like hiding its ingredients rather than highlighting. Anyways, this is too much of a diatribe over one short. This is a good example of like what can be done with this material. with it being really actor focused, and with the director receding into the background a lot more. So I'm excited to see the other versions and see how they interpret the same material. Hopefully there's, some directors who have a heavier hand. I definitely think it would be helpful to see an adaptation that's in English because it's so dialogue driven. And I'm excited to see how other actresses interpret this work. This was a great job by Sophia Loren. I don't want to take that away from her. Amazing that she did this when she was in the late 70s or 80s. So yeah, that was Human Voice. That was Human Voice 2014, and I look forward to seeing the other ones. And meanwhile, keep watching good movies. I'll see you next time.